Hey, Jason Seiden here. I want to talk about grief for a few minutes because it impacts all of us. It impacts our productivity at work, and we are horrible at it. When I lost Al, the company I worked for was renowned for its people policies. But the blind spot, grief. I've got somebody in a 16-person office dealing with it right now. So I don't know if you are going through grief or if you are trying to support somebody or wondering how to help somebody going through it. But in today's world, my hunch is if you're not on one side of that fence now, you will be before the end of the year. And you are probably not armed with the tools you need to do it effectively. So let's just take a minute and see if we can change that. First, if you're supporting people going through grief, reach out. Just reach out. Take the risk. Maybe don't say, I can't imagine what it's like, because what am I going to tell you? I don't want you to imagine this pain. Please don't imagine what it's like. You can do a couple things. You can ask how I'm doing. You can say, hey, that's awful. You can just bear witness. Man, that sucks. That's an okay thing to say. It just lets me know I'm being seen. And that was great when I heard it. My favorite was when people would say, Seiden, what happened to you is awful. And I was thinking about it, and it caused me to tell my family to put their phones down at dinner. We ended up having one of the best family nights we've had in years. I loved that because the shit that happened to me, it meant that shit was fertilizing something beautiful. And that's the circle of life. So, I don't know, I'll get to the person who's going through the grief in a second, but if you're bearing witness, your responsibility is just to show up. A corollary to that, the people who helped me most, helped me really set my journey out right, Susan Lamott, Mark Stelzner, Lori Rudiman, Amanda Height, Lisa, these are all people who I met through work. They're professional colleagues. They weren't coworkers, but they weren't my friends from home either. These are people who I initially met on a conference circuit, and they were the ones who showed up for me first, and damn. So I don't know who's grieving in your world, but I'll tell you, it doesn't matter who they are to you. If they're in your world, reach out. They'll love hearing from you, I hope. Now, if you're going through grief, you've got a responsibility. My perspective on grief has always been very active. You got to take care of that stuff. I don't believe that time heals all wounds. I think time and hard work heals wounds. Otherwise, they just fester. So you got to do the work. You got to find your voice. You got to fine tune your voice. You got to keep working that until you're able to get your story out in a way that moves you forward. And if you want to see what mine looks like, it's at scarjar.com. I've had more false starts on this journey than in any other journey in my life. I write. I couldn't find the words. Al and I both did Second City. I wanted to do comedy. I wanted to do an improv thing. Quarantine shut that down. So I kept fighting until I found a way to express myself. And there's some universal truths in there. When you get there, there's about 12 images. There are exactly 12 images. There are about 115 more where those came from that I haven't posted yet. But sometimes it's just helpful to see that you're not alone. That feeling that you want to explode, you're not the only one who's had it. That's kind of what we're dealing with. And it's sometimes it can be helpful to see someone's gone through this and made it. So take a look. Someone's gone through it and made it, and you can too. And so if it's helpful, great. And if it would be helpful to hear the story behind that and to hear more about that, reach out. I talk about this stuff and I use those images, and it's a part of who I am now. So it's a part of what I do now. And that's a lot. So I'm going to leave it there. Grief is real. We got to deal with it. I love you. I'll see you next week.